Hi everyone, in this video we are going to continue talking about climate factors and talk about the different things that influence the climate at a particular location. In this video specifically, we'll be talking about the presence of mountains. So how do mountains influence the climate of a location? Sometimes this phenomenon is called the rain shadow effect. So, if we have a mountain, usually a very tall mountain, one side of that mountain will have wind blowing towards it from an ocean, a source of water. So, on one side of the mountain, we will usually have some kind of air blowing from an ocean toward the mountain. So in this case, the air is coming from the left side of the mountain, and that air is coming from an ocean. So it's pretty moist and humid. It's full of water. It has a high water vapor content. And what happens is that air is blowing in, and it crashes into the mountain, and the mountain forces the air to rise. So on this side of the mountain, again, we have air that is very moist blowing towards the mountain, and that air hits the mountain, and the mountain is so tall it forces the air to go up. And we already know when air that is very moist rises, it expands, cools to the dew point, condensation occurs, and clouds form. So on this side of the mountain, we get a lot of clouds. If we have a lot of clouds on this side of the mountain, that also means those clouds will fill up with water, and we will get a lot of rain on this side of the mountain. On the side of the mountain where the wind is blowing, we will end up with a lot of rain. Because there's a lot of rain on this side of the mountain, this side of the mountain is able to support a lot of plant life. Plants, grasses, trees all require water to live. And kind of like a rainforest is a very green, rich, vegetation dense area. This side of the mountain will also have a lot of green vegetation, a lot of trees, a lot of plant life on this side of the mountain. So this side of the mountain will be a very nice green forest area. We call this side of the mountain the windward side of the mountain. Again, it's the windward side because it's the side where the wind is blowing from the ocean, hitting the mountain and going up. It's rising, expanding, cooling, rain occurs, and then we have a lot of vegetation. So on the windward side of the mountain, moist air rises, clouds form, rain falls, and there is a lot of plants and green environments. In terms of temperature, this side of the mountain is usually cooler. So that air will form clouds. Some of that air will continue moving and will continue to rise over the mountain and start to come back down the other side. So that air is sinking on the other side. And just like when we talked about high and low pressure, if the air is sinking, it's very dry. there is not a lot of rain. And the temperature will actually increase. So this side of the mountain is usually hotter than the other side of the mountain. Hotter temperature. Because the air is sinking here and it's totally dry, there's no rain at all or very little rain. So this side of the mountain is usually like a desert. It's very dry, it's very hot, and it's a desert type of environment. So we're going to write dry and hot again because this is the very important part about this side of the mountain. And this side of the mountain is called the leeward side of the mountain. So to sum up what we have here, wind blows moist air toward the mountain. The mountain is in the way and the air can't go anywhere, so it must go up. Air rises. As the air rises, it expands, cools, and the water vapor condenses to form clouds. The clouds thicken and rain falls on what we call the windward side of the mountain. Like we drew in our picture, the windward side of the mountain is green and full of vegetation. Remember that vegetation means plants, like vegetables. The air continues over the mountain, but the air lost all of its water on the windward side of the mountain. When the air moves over the mountain and comes back down, there is now, that should say no water left, and it is totally dry. The leeward side of the mountain has a desert-like climate, dry and hot. As the air goes down, it gets compressed and the temperature of the air goes up. And again, the leeward side of the mountain is very, very hot.